Wow, this video is hot off the press. So hot off the press today that when I saw it, read it, watched the video, I got so angry, I had to get home, take a chill pill, relax for a minute before I make my thoughts here on this video, okay? And this video is my opinions, but it's for us and it's for you. I want everybody's help here sharing this video. I want you to leave a comment below, okay? Not on my take of this story or my effort to put this together, but what is happening right before us right now, just after Huntsville Ham Fest, to see this story break. First things first, when there's a problem, blame the ham. Right away, blame the ham. That's the problem. That's the monster, right? He's always at fault. Topic of the story, woman fights to have ham operations banned after potential interference with an insulin pump. Now, my apologies and thoughts that, I'm sorry she has to have an insulin pump for life. That sucks. But the fact is, she has no idea how much RF exposure is in that phone to her head every day, and how much RF exposure is around her with cell phone towers, others with cell phones, the cameras next door, the guy that's got to have those cameras out there. How about the Ring doorbell, the Google Home, the Amazon? Nope. Let's not worry about the RF coming out of your car, which is probably a new Tesla or something that's electronic these days, or people around you in the malls or stores, or other medical equipment. You ever got a CAT scan? You ever got an MRI? Well, automatically, we're not going to take any proof. We're going to take the word potential interference, and we're going to stick that right on top of that guy's door on ham radio. They had no problem going through there. Excuse me, sir. Oh, look, it's an ICAC DX1200 and a Ameritron amp, by the way. Oh, look, it's collected dust and it's unplugged. How do you feel about this, sir? I would be pissed. I'd be mad. I'm mad right now. It's not, what did she say? You can live without your hobby. Oh, okay. So when I throw away my hobby of ham radio, I'm going to throw away my bottle caps, my puzzles, or whatever else, because that fits right in there with amateur radio, right? Wrong. Amateur radio is a service, okay? It is to promote the phases of the radio art and to protect human life and property. Who do you think the first person that would have been there in a natural disaster, three houses down, that she could have had for help would have been an amateur radio operator promoting a service that he's licensed to do. And instead of having an authority come in here and take their stuff out or disconnect it, he is bound by his homeowners association, the Top of the Mountain Club, whatever it is, to go in there and tell him to turn it off. And the guy is so nice. He's like, I've been doing this more than half my life. You just listen to him. I'm not saying it's his fault, but guys, listen to me. Whoa, get mad here. Pop the collar, that might help. I'm not doing this for views, guys. I really am mad. Listen, there comes a time when you don't know what you're talking about. And before you don't know what you're talking about, don't publicize you don't know what you're talking about, okay? I've invited news media how many times to come check us out at QRP events, field days. Hey, come and get a real story. Come see what we do during hurricanes in Florida, natural disasters in California. And again, back in New York, we had terrorist attacks. There's a lot of people on ham radio that were assisting in that. And instead, we're going to blame the ham operator because one piece of hardware failed and we don't know why. So it must be the ham's fault, right? Nobody blamed the guy on CB radio that probably lives in her neighborhood or drives around, or nobody blamed the guy that, is on 99.7 Jack FM as a disc jockey. I mean, that's going through your head and that's going through the RF, going everywhere as RF. But don't consider that radio frequency exposure. Consider the one that lives 3 houses down because he's easy to target, right? Now, why can't, back to my story on the, the news media. No, they never came out. Nope, we can't get them to come out. If anybody wants a real story from the news media in Florida, please, we'd love to have you. And I won't be mean like this. I'm just angry. But they laughed at it. Oh, that's not something we're really... It's really not something that's funny, guys, because the emergency operations centers, Red Cross, police in the Panhandle, and fire rescues, they all relied on ham radio operators for emergency communications, including Puerto Rico. When they lost everything in Maria, I think it was Maria, all they had was ham radio to talk back and forth to the States. You're going to tell me it's a hobby? You're going to talk to me and tell me that it's something that you can live without your hobby. Educate yourself before you make that assumption. Now, if it was a hobby, let's say it's not a hobby, let's say it's a service. How do you practice on this service? What do you think field day is? Oh, you're a news media. You have no idea what field day is. Come out there and educate yourself, please. That is a way for everybody to get on the air and exercise and to keep their skills and their talents and their radios in check and their antennas and meet more people to connect. So you have a community of people that are radio operators. So you're not the only one left out there in the dark pushing the button hoping someone listens. You understand? So back to poor guy here. I don't see any statistical proof from FCC or anybody that went in there and said, yep, it's over the maximum permissible exposure limits here. In fact, you know, no, they couldn't have said, hey, this insulin pump isn't quite shielded right. So what could we have done? We could have worked with our neighbors, right? I bet you she didn't go talk with her neighbors. And if she did and he voluntarily turned it off, and I commend him, because, hey, first thing you do, if your neighbor reports an issue, and this isn't a test as well, if you want to get tested for amateur radio, if your neighbor reports an issue, you kindly work with your neighbor and solve it together. Hey, maybe my antenna's got a problem with it. Maybe I need to give you some ferret beads. Maybe I need to figure, maybe, you know what, if it was me, I'd be buying another insulin pump, because obviously that one's worth nothing, okay? And that's not fact. I shouldn't be saying that because I don't know how much he paid for it. But the bottom line is, guys, things are made in China these days. Things are not electrically shielded like they used to be or like they should be. But it's the ham's fault. It's my fault. Just put it, it's your fault. You're a ham. I met you at Huntsville Ham Fest. You are at fault if you turn on your radio. That's exactly what I get from this story. Now, before I finish this up and give you my final thoughts here, we're going to play the video, okay? I want you to watch this video if you haven't seen it. Of course, right now, as of 5 o'clock, we have 7 thumbs down and 0 thumbs up on that WTP FTV Channel 9 video. Because guess what? Everybody that's hams are commenting some really good comments. I want you to comment on this video and share it so we can see the next time there's an issue like this. No, I don't want to hear you. Nope, don't want to hear an ad either. The next time there's an issue like this, why don't we go about it the right way? Instead of having the HOA who bans us to begin with, the HOA going in there and telling them, you got to pull it out. Pull it out. Or not the HOA, maybe it's the state, the housing, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not that smart. All I'm smart enough to know is I would have waited until an FCC agent with the appropriate laboratory material and the appropriate credentials present himself to my house and tell me that I may be causing a problem. And then I'll do whatever it takes to fix it. But I'm not going to, I wouldn't have let anybody in my house. I mean, I hope they paid him. If they paid him, that's great. But you ain't coming in this house and video and stuff and laughing at me. No, you're not. You're not. You're not going to, I hope you go, I hope the news media never goes into a house again with a ham radio operator that was been shut down, because that's not fair. And we're not monsters. You don't have to show off with, this is the culprit. This is the equipment. No, he didn't say that, but look how they're presenting it. Now it's just sitting here unplugged collecting dust. Are you happy about that? Because I bet you'd be the first one to reach out to a ham radio operator if you had an emergency, wouldn't you, news media person? So if this video goes nowhere, I hope it touched somebody. I want you to watch this video, and after this video, you will see my final words on what I think about this.
A Marion County woman is taking on her neighborhood's association in a matter she says puts her health at risk.
Yes, she is a type 1 diabetic, and a consultant hired by the community confirmed her neighbor's ham radio hobby may have interfered with the doses of insulin being pushed out from her pump into her body. Investigative reporter Carla Ray looked into this, and Carla joins us live. Carla, her complaint goes all the way to the state level, and this is a new one.
Yeah, this is beyond a neighbor dispute, right? This 55-plus community told the neighbor to shut those operations down, but then the board of directors voted on a rule change that actually paves the way for other similar antennas to be installed. Now that woman wants the Florida Commission on Human Relations to determine whether the board of directors is doing enough to keep her and others with medical devices safe. In the manicured subdivision of Indigo East near Ocala, 2 neighbors tell 9 Investigates they've both thought of moving out.
You can live without your hobby.
Michelle Smith has been in a back and forth with the Communities Association for a little over a year after she noticed the insulin pump she uses to manage her type 1 diabetes was suddenly giving the wrong amount of the medicine that keeps her alive.
So I switched pumps, bought another one, switched reservoirs, threw insulin away, did everything I could that I know of to troubleshoot, switch sites in case you don't have a good connection. And after about 8 months, I said, it's not me, it's not the pump.
After researching, she suspected the problem may be a few doors down in equipment that's now unplugged and collecting dust.
Have you ever run into any issues like this before?
Never.
David Berg was told to shut down his ham radio operation after On Top of the World hired an independent consultant to investigate Smith's complaints. That engineer determined the amateur radio operator could have produced radio frequency levels that exceed those that Smith's insulin pump is intended to operate in.
I've lost a hobby that I've enjoyed for more than half of my lifetime.
But though his operation is shut down, the community's board of directors then changed the wording in its association rules and regulations to potentially allow more of these amateur radios in the future, changing the definition of antenna allowed after approval from a device used to receive to one that could also transmit radio frequency signals.
They just changed the rules and didn't even deliberate. And I'm there to provide all this proof, and they didn't have a single care.
Smith says she requested a reasonable accommodation under the Fair Housing Act to ensure no high-frequency signals can be transmitted within 300 feet of her home.
What would happen if you didn't use it?
I would die.
It's a serious issue. Berg said, though, if he's ever cleared to start operating again by that community, he will. We reached out to the board of directors, their general counsel, and the general manager who oversees that On Top of the World community. They told me they don't comment on pending litigation referring to that ongoing state complaint. In studio, Carla Ray, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
So just remember, when all else fails, your cell phone works just fine. Your tablet works just fine. Thanks for watching.